Welcome back to the Book Nook, everyone. We are so incredibly glad you are joining us for this deep dive today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We have a really, really fascinating topic lined up for you.
We really do. I mean, we are starting things off today with a riddle.
Oh, I love this riddle. It is such a good hook.
Right. So 2,000 years ago, the Gospel of Matthew laid out this riddle that, honestly, it sounds fundamentally unjust on the surface.
Completely unjust.
It goes like this. Whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has, will be taken from him.
Which is just, I mean, historically, that passage has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Oh, for sure. When you just look at those words in isolation, it reads like, well, like an ancient endorsement of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer.
Yeah, exactly. Sociologists even coined a term for it, right? The Matthew effect.
Oh, right, the Matthew effect.
Yeah, they use it to describe how accumulated advantage allows those with power and wealth to, just passively acquire more, while those at the bottom are continually stripped of their resources.
It feels like a completely rigged game, just an inescapable treadmill of inequality.
It really does.
But here is the secret to this 2,000-year-old text. There is a single word missing from that translation.
Just one word.
Just one hidden word that, once you plug it back into the sentence, it completely changes the entire paradigm.
It flips the script entirely.
It really does. It takes it from a statement of profound socioeconomic injustice to a universal promise of absolute abundance.
And that missing word is gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
So if we read the reconstructed translation, it says, whoever has gratitude will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have gratitude, even what he has will be taken from him.
I mean, wow. It changes the entire locus of control.
It totally does.
Suddenly, the text isn't talking about material wealth at all. He's talking about a cognitive state.
Exactly. And that revelation, that shift in perspective, is really the foundation of the material we are diving into today.
Yes, which is Rhonda Byrne's transformative framework, The Magic.
Right. And most of our listeners are probably, acutely aware of Rhonda Byrne from her global phenomenon, The Secret.
Oh, definitely. The Secret was everywhere.
It really was. It essentially mainlined the law of attraction into the cultural zeitgeist, right? It sold tens of millions of copies, and she followed that up with The Power.
But our mission in this deep dive is to unpack the highly specific 28-day actionable system she lays out in The Magic.
Yeah, because we are looking at how to take this abstract, sometimes fluffy-sounding concept of gratitude.
Right, because it can sound a bit fluffy.
Exactly. And we want to see how she turns it into a literal daily tactical practice for you.
Because what is fascinating here is the premise she operates on.
Right.
Byrne argues that gratitude isn't merely, a polite social convention or just some psychological coping mechanism to make you feel mildly better about a bad day.
No, she goes way deeper than that. She traces this concept through centuries of hidden knowledge.
Oh, yeah. She touches on Hermetic traditions, like the Emerald Tablet dating back to 3000 BC.
Yeah, the core argument is that gratitude is a mechanism. It is a fundamental physics of the universe, operating with the same impartial reliability as gravity.
Which is such a bold claim.
Yeah.
And she sets the tone right out of the gate with this highly nostalgic quote from Roald Dahl.
Oh, I love that quote.
It goes, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it."
It is so perfect.
It really paints this vivid picture of how we all used to view the world when we were children,
Oh, absolutely. That absolute mesmerization you would feel just looking at frost on the grass.
Right, or the genuine thrill of losing a tooth.
Yeah.
Because it meant the tooth fairy was coming.
Right.
Life was just inherently, undeniably magical.
And that childhood state is characterized by constant novelty. There is a lack of rigid neural pathways dictating what is possible or impossible.
But then we grow up.
Right. The friction of adult life takes over.
Responsibilities, heartbreaks, financial pressures, they build up this callous.
Yeah, we adopt this cynical, realistic perspective, which the text actually argues is a false, distorted reality.
Wait, really? The realistic view is the distorted one.
According to Byrne, yes. The wonder we felt as children, that sense that the universe is conspiring to delight us, she presents that as the true baseline of human existence.
Wow. But she doesn't just, stay in the realm of childhood wonder. She immediately pivots into the mechanics of the universe.
Right, she brings in the law of attraction.
Now, I feel like most people know the bumper sticker version of that, right? Like attracts like.
Yeah, that is the common shorthand.
But she is claiming this governs everything from the formation of atoms to the movement of planets. Which brings up a massive question for me.
Okay, what is it?
Is she arguing that our internal subjective thoughts literally, physically shape objective reality?
Well, according to the specific sources we are analyzing today, the answer is an unequivocal yes.
That is wild.
It really is. The text leans heavily on interpretations of quantum mechanics. It specifically references Dr. Fred Alan Wolf.
Oh, right, the physicist.
Exactly. He argues that you simply cannot have a universe without the mind entering into it. He says the mind is actually shaping the very thing being perceived.
Which echoes the famous double-slit experiment in quantum physics, right?
Precisely. Where the mere act of observation alters the behavior of a photon, it changes it from a wave of probability into a fixed particle.
So Byrne takes this concept and basically scales it up to human emotion.
Exactly. If is the governing dynamic of energy and our thoughts and feelings are energetic frequencies, then our internal state dictates our external circumstances.
I want to look at the transmission tower analogy she uses in the secret excerpts because it makes this abstract concept highly visual for you.
It is a really helpful analogy.
They describe human beings as the most powerful transmission towers in the universe. So if you think about tuning an old-school radio dial...
Yeah, like in a car.
Exactly. You cannot hear a classical music station if your dial is tuned to a heavy metal frequency.
Right. The radio waves for the classical station are literally in the room with you, but you are structurally incapable of receiving them.
Right. So if your internal broadcast frequency is, I don't have enough money, or my life is a constant struggle, the universe, acting as this ultimate mirror, has no choice but to match that frequency.
It has to send back experiences that confirm your lack.
Which is a tough pill to swallow. And the text ties this psychological model directly to Sir Isaac Newton's third law of motion.
It does. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah. And Byrne applies this physical law to the metaphysical realm of gratitude. The action of giving thanks guarantees the reaction of receiving.
Exactly.
But wait, I have to push back on that a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Newton's third law is about physical mass and kinetic energy. If I push a brick wall, the wall exerts an equal force back on my hands. How can we apply a law of physical mass to something as ephemeral as a human feeling?
Well, it is a fascinating leap for sure. But it requires accepting the premise that emotion, which literally means energy in motion, carries a measurable energetic weight.
Okay, I am tracking with you.
The argument is that the universe does not distinguish between the kinetic energy of a physical push and the vibrational energy of a deeply held belief.
So if you exert a deep, sincere force of gratitude out into the field of reality,
the field must push back with an equal amount of circumstantial abundance. The reaction is an inescapable mathematical consequence of the action.
Wow. If we accept that premise, it means that, half-hearted gratitude is not going to move the needle at all.
No, not at all. And Byrne addresses this with her specific magic formula.
Right. Step 1 is to deliberately think and say the magic words, thank you.
Yes. And step 2 is that the more you deliberately think and say the words, the more gratitude you actually feel.
And then step 3, the more gratitude you feel, the more abundance you receive. But she is absolutely adamant that the feeling is the accelerator.
Oh, 100%. You cannot just walk around parroting thank you while secretly fuming inside.
Right. Cognition without emotion is entirely inert.
Exactly. You can think a thought, but if there is no emotional valence attached to it, it does not leave an imprint.
Emotion's what tells the brain, and by extension the universe, that something actually matters.
As Newton's law suggests, the reaction is equal to the action. The truer, deeper, and more visceral the feeling of gratitude, the faster and more dramatically your external life changes.
Which naturally brings us to the actual execution. Because, understanding the physics of a transmission tower is totally useless if you don't actually turn the machine on and broadcast.
Right, you have to actually do the work.
Exactly. The text quotes the 14th century scholar Ibn Khaldun. He said, "Knowledge is a treasure, but practice is the key to it."
I love that. So Byrne lays out a highly structured 28-day journey for you to follow.
And she does not start with manifesting sports cars or million-dollar checks, which I think surprises people.
Yeah, the first 12 days are strictly about laying the foundation, healing the past, and securing the present.
Why is that sequencing so vital?
Because you simply cannot effectively project a frequency of future abundance if your current baseline is just, mired in resentment, anxiety, or victimhood.
That makes total sense. So days 1 and 2 are designed to aggressively rewire the brain's default settings.
Yes.
Day 1 is called Count Your Blessings. You literally sit down every morning, grab a pen, and write out 10 things you are grateful for.
But crucially, you have to write why you are grateful for them.
Right. Then you reread the list and say thank you, thank you, thank you after each one. Doing this for 10 things every single morning, it forces you to scrape the bottom of the barrel of your awareness, doesn't it?
It really does. It forces cognitive expansion. When you have to write down why, you are moving past surface-level pleasantries and really engaging the prefrontal cortex in narrative building.
And then day 2 introduces the magic rock.
Yes, the magic rock.
The instruction here is to find a small, smooth rock, keep it by your bed, and right before you go to sleep, hold it in your hand.
And you mentally stand back over your entire day to find the single best thing that happened.
You say, thank you for that specific moment, hold the rock, and just go to sleep.
Now, I can hear the skeptics rolling their eyes at the idea of a magic rock.
Oh, absolutely. But if we look past the mystical branding, what is actually happening neurologically when we do these two practices? We are dealing with the reticular activating system, right?
Precisely. The reticular activating system, or RAS, is a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff actually gets through.
Because the brain processes millions of bits of information per second, but we are only consciously aware of a tiny fraction of it.
Exactly. So by forcing yourself to write 10 blessings every morning, you are programming your RAS. You are telling your brain, hey, positive, helpful, abundant things are important to my survival. Look for them.
And the rock at night serves as a physical, tactile anchor.
It does. It utilizes the somatosensory cortex, but more importantly, it creates a psychological bookend for your day, which interrupts the rumination cycle.
Oh, that rumination cycle is brutal.
Yeah.
Most people lie in bed at night, and their brain immediately pulls like the anxiety of tomorrow's meeting or, the embarrassment of a social faux pas.
Or financial stress. And this floods the body with cortisol right when it is supposed to be producing melatonin.
Right. So by holding the rock and forcing the brain to search for a victory, you are shifting your autonomic nervous system from sympathetic fight or flight into parasympathetic rest and digest.
You fall asleep in a state of gratitude, which literally impacts the architecture of your sleep. And then you wake up primed by your morning list.
So you are effectively quarantining the negativity.
Yes.
But, okay, what happens when the negativity isn't just in your head? What happens when your actual environment is actively hostile?
That is a great question.
Like, how does this framework survive a toxic workplace or a severe personal crisis?
Well, that is exactly where days 6 and 7 come in, and the paradigm shift here is aggressive.
Day 6 is called Works Like Magic. You are instructed to imagine an invisible manager following you around at your job all day.
And their only task is to write down every single time you feel grateful.
It is such a funny image, but it leverages the Hawthorne effect, doesn't it?
It does. The Hawthorne effect is the psychological phenomenon where individuals modify an aspect of their behavior simply in response to their awareness of being observed.
So if you genuinely played this game and you knew someone was monitoring your gratitude and your success depended on them filling up their notebook, your perception of your hostile environment would fracture.
Exactly. You would stop focusing on the toxic boss and start hyper-focusing on the fact that the printer works, or that you have a warm cup of coffee.
Or that you even have an income-generating safety for your family.
Right. It is an incredible pattern interrupt.
But then day 7, the magical way out of negativity, asks even more of you. This is really the heavy lifting of the entire first week.
Oh, without a doubt.
You are required to choose one major active problem in your life. Maybe you are buried in debt or navigating a divorce or dealing with a health scare.
And you must list 10 things you are grateful for about that specific negative situation.
Which sounds impossible.
Yeah.
But this is where the framework intersects with cognitive reframing, right?
Right.
Like a staple of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Exactly. When you are inside a crisis, the amygdala hijacks the brain. You are basically paralyzed by threat.
Yeah.
By forcing yourself to find 10 positive angles within a disaster, you are neutralizing that paralyzing effect. You shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active participant extracting value from the wreckage.
Wow. Extracting value from the wreckage. The text argues that prolonged negative situations are actually the manifestation of a chronic lack of gratitude over time, doesn't it?
Yes. We take the baseline for granted, the frequency drops, and the universe reflects that entropy right back to us.
It is like throwing a lifeline to your own higher cognition when you were drowning in panic.
It really is.
And speaking of taking the baseline for granted, days 8 and 11 target the invisible scaffolding of our daily lives.
Yes, the basics.
Day 8 is the magic ingredient. Before you eat or drink anything, you look at it and say thank you. You can even visualize sprinkling imaginary magic dust over your meal.
And day 11 is a magic morning, where you say thank you for literally everything you touch while getting ready.
The hot water handle in the shower, the toothpaste, the towel.
The profundity here lies in acknowledging the invisible web of human effort.
Well, I love this part.
Just think about the supply chain required just to get a cup of coffee into your hands in the morning.
It is staggering.
The farmers who grew the beans, the laborers who harvested them, the truck drivers, the massive logistics networks.
The civil engineers who designed the plumbing for your tap water. The power plant operators keeping the electricity flowing to your kettle.
Exactly. When you pause to realize that tens of thousands of human beings unknowingly cooperated to bring you a single sip of coffee, your perceived isolation vanishes.
It just shatters the illusion of self-reliance. Being grateful for the absolute basics of survival connects us to the deepest, most grounding expressions of gratitude possible.
It really does. And it is not just objects, right? It is people, too.
Right. Day 12 is called Magical People Who Made a Difference. You have to find a quiet place, conjure up the image of 3 people who dramatically changed the course of your life, and you speak to them out loud.
You explain exactly what they did and why you are deeply grateful for them.
It sounds simple on paper, but actually verbalizing that you're in an empty room has a unique somatic weight to it.
Well, verbalization forces articulation. When we merely think about someone, the thoughts are often amorphous and fleeting.
Yeah, they just kind of drift by.
Right. But speaking out loud requires the brain to organize the emotion into linear language, which engages completely different neural pathways. The vocalization creates a literal acoustic vibration in your body.
And it is the culmination of the first 12 days. By the end of day 12, your baseline frequency has fundamentally shifted.
You are no longer taking your past, your daily survival, or your human support system for granted. The foundation is solid.
And once that foundation is rock solid, the deep dive shifts into phase 2. Days 13 through 22 are all about directing the magic.
The transition here is absolutely crucial. Once you have cleaned up the transmission tower and secured a clear, powerful signal, Byrne teaches you how to choose the exact programming you want to transmit.
You move from appreciating what is to magnetizing what will be.
Exactly.
This is where we get into the psychology of priming and expectancy. Day 14 is Have a Magical Day, which introduces the concept of pre-paving.
Pre-paving.
In the morning, you mentally walk to your schedule and you say thank you for every single plan going perfectly before you actually live it.
You visualize the successful pitch meeting, the friction-free commute, the joyful family dinner, and you feel the gratitude in advance.
It reminds me of sports psychology, where elite athletes vividly visualize a perfect race before they ever step onto the track.
Oh, for sure. And the text suggests that on a quantum level, doing this actually wipes out unexpected problems before they manifest. Because you are emitting the frequency of a frictionless day, the universe must rearrange circumstances to match that frequency.
But even if we view this purely through a psychological lens, you are establishing an expectancy bias.
Right. If you expect a meeting to go terribly, your body language becomes defensive, your tone is sharp, and you inadvertently provoke the exact negative outcome you feared.
Pre-paving ensures you enter the room open, relaxed, and highly perceptive to collaborative solutions.
There is a detail from the author's own daily routine that I found really fascinating here.
Oh, what was that?
After she prepays her day, she ends the practice by stating out loud, "And thank you for the great news coming to me today."
Wow.
And she claims that because she asks for it and expects it every single morning, she constantly receives great news.
It sounds almost audacious to demand that of the universe, doesn't it?
It is audacious, but it is perfectly internally consistent with the rules of the system she is describing. Hesitation or modesty in this framework is essentially a form of frequency interference.
Oh, I see. If you ask timidly, you are broadcasting doubt.
Exactly. Then we arrive at day 17, which is arguably the most famous, highly tactile practice in this entire ecosystem.
The magic check.
The magic check.
It is iconic. The book directs you to go to a website, print out a literal blank check issued from the gratitude bank of the universe, and fill it out.
You write your name, the date, and a very specific exact amount of money you want to receive.
And then you hold this piece of paper, and you are instructed to feel the gratitude as if you are currently using that money to buy the specific thing you want.
The mechanism of action here is the visual artifact. Abstract desires like "I want more money" are notoriously difficult for the brain to process into a deeply felt emotion.
Right, the brain needs specifics.
Exactly. By printing the check and holding it, you bridge the gap between abstract desire and concrete reality.
What is vital in Byrne's instruction is that you must visualize the use of the money.
Yes. You don't just sit there feeling grateful for pieces of paper with numbers printed on them. That doesn't generate authentic emotion.
No, you feel the thrill of holding the steering wheel of the new car, or the relief of seeing a zero balance on a credit card statement. The emotion must be tied to the end result.
Which basically tricks the brain into believing it already possesses the outcome.
But what happens when you have a complex problem that money can't immediately solve?
Mm.
Day 18 introduces the magical to-do list.
Right. You write down the most pressing things you need resolved, the complex webs you just don't know how to untangle.
And instead of trying to force a solution, you hand it over. You give thanks for the perfect resolution as if it has already occurred.
The book shares a highly compelling narrative to illustrate this, involving Byrne's daughter.
Oh, the lost wallet story.
Yes, she was out one night and completely lost her wallet. It contained all her bank cards, her identification, cash, everything. A total nightmare scenario.
Ugh, the worst feeling.
But instead of spiraling into panic, canceling cards, and frantically retracing her steps in a state of sheer anxiety, she utilized this practice.
Right. She sat down, closed her eyes, and vividly visualized holding the wallet in her hands. She felt the immense visceral relief and gratitude of having it returned.
Exactly.
Wait, so are we talking about magical thinking here? Did the universe magically teleport the wallet? Or is there an argument that her calm state of mind allowed for a better outcome?
Well, let's explore both angles, right? According to the literal text, she got a call from a farmer who lived miles away. He had found the wallet on the street in the city.
Wow.
He had no connection to her, but through a series of highly unlikely synchronistic events, he tracked down her phone number and returned it completely intact.
So the text uses this to argue that when you focus purely on the frequency of the solution, the universe rearranges people and events, even complete strangers, to deliver that solution.
Exactly.
And from a psychological standpoint.
From a psychological standpoint, panic creates a localized tunnel vision. When you panic, you make erratic decisions, you miss obvious clues, and you escalate conflicts.
That makes a lot of sense.
By enforcing a state of profound gratitude and relief, she prevented herself from creating secondary crises. She remained entirely open to receiving the phone call.
Right. Perhaps ensuring her phone was charged and on, rather than frantically abandoning her location.
Exactly. Whether you attribute it to quantum entanglement or extreme emotional regulation, the result is the same. The locus of control remains internal, preventing a cascade of negative compounding events.
You become a magnet to the solution rather than an amplifier of the problem.
Precisely.
That leads seamlessly into day 19, Magic Footsteps. This is honestly one of the most poetic practices in the entire book.
It really is.
You take exactly 100 steps, and with every single step, as your foot makes contact with the ground, you say the words, "Thank you."
You can do it walking to your car, pacing in your kitchen, or even walking into a stressful meeting. It is essentially an active walking meditation.
It is a profound exercise in somatic grounding, isn't it?
It is. It takes the abstract emotion of gratitude and literally grounds it into physical bodily action.
Because in trauma therapy, bilateral stimulation like walking is used to process heavy emotions because it engages both hemispheres of the brain.
Exactly. By linking the repetition of thank you with the rhythmic alternating impact of your footsteps, you are anchoring the frequency into your nervous system. You are training the body, not just the mind.
So by this point in the journey, we have healed the past, we have pre-paved the future, we have magnetized money, and we have grounded the frequency into our physical bodies. You would think the framework is complete.
You would think so.
But phase 3, encompassing days 23 through 28, pushes the boundaries into what I like to call advanced alchemy.
Advanced alchemy, I like that.
This is about saturating the cellular level of your being and then, crucially, projecting it outward into the world.
This is where the text evolves from a tool of personal gain into a practice of profound altruism.
Yeah. Day 24 is the magic wand. Byrne describes this as the single greatest act of gratitude a human being can perform.
You are instructed to choose 3 people you care deeply about who are currently struggling. Perhaps they need physical healing, financial rescue, or emotional peace.
You look at a photograph of them, and you intensely visualize receiving the phone call with the news that they are completely healed or their debts are wiped out.
And you feel the overwhelming, tear-inducing gratitude for their breakthrough.
You are literally utilizing your energy transmission tower to broadcast for someone else. It reminds me of the meta or loving-kindness meditation in Buddhist traditions,
Mhm.
where you radiate well wishes outward.
It is very similar.
But what is the systemic effect of doing this within Byrne's framework?
Well, it creates the ultimate feedback loop within the mechanics of the law of attraction. Empathy and altruism stimulate the vagus nerve and flood the brain with oxytocin. But metaphysically, the text claims that you cannot emit the frequency of absolute health and abundance, even if it is entirely directed at someone else, without the universe reflecting that exact frequency back onto your own life.
Oh, wow. So wishing spectacular good for others magnetically guarantees those same energies must flow through you to reach them.
Exactly.
To maintain that high-level frequency, Day 25 introduces Cue the Magic. I love this one because it treats daily life like a giant interactive game you are playing with the universe.
It is like playing punch buggy, but for abundance.
Yes, you have to be hyper alert to your surroundings and look for environmental cues to trigger your gratitude.
It brilliantly gamifies awareness. The text gives examples, right? If you hear an ambulance siren, that is your explicit cue from the universe to immediately say thank you for perfect health.
If you see a police car, it is a cue to be grateful for safety and protection.
If you see a couple arguing, it is a cue to be grateful for harmony.
If you walk past an ATM, it is a cue to be grateful for a limitless supply of wealth.
The genius of this practice lies in how it disrupts the default mode network, or DMN, of the brain.
Remind me, the DMN is active when we are daydreaming, right?
Right, daydreaming, worrying, or sleepwalking through our routines. It is the source of most of our ambient anxiety.
So Cue the Magic forces your brain out of the DMN and into the present moment.
You have to actively scan your physical environment to win the game. Suddenly, the mundane world feels alive, communicative, and deeply supportive, rather than chaotic and random.
It's like the whole world is constantly winking at you.
Yeah.
But then we arrive at Day 27, the Magic Mirror, which the author acknowledges is often the hardest, most confronting practice for people.
Oh, definitely. The book brings up Michael Jackson's iconic song, Man in the Mirror here.
The core philosophy is that if you want to change the world, you have to fundamentally change the person in the mirror.
You are instructed to stand in front of a mirror, look yourself directly and unflinchingly in the eyes, and say thank you. You must express deep, unreserved gratitude for exactly who you are in that moment.
Which is really tough for a lot of people.
It is, but if you cannot emit gratitude for the origin point of the transmission, which is yourself, the entire broadcast is distorted by self-loathing or insecurity.
Right, because the text argues that when you are truly grateful for yourself, feelings of dissatisfaction, disappointment, and the chronic whisper of, I'm not good enough, they just evaporate.
And because the internal frequency changes, the disappointing external circumstances in your life must magically disappear as well, because you are no longer a vibrational match to them.
It is profound self-compassion masked as a manifestation technique.
It really is.
And finally, we reach Day 28. Remember the magic. This is not just the end of the 28-day challenge. It is the operating manual for the rest of your life.
You are supposed to look back at yesterday, scan the surface of the day, and intentionally harvest the blessings. You literally remember the magic, ensuring it never evaporates.
It creates a continuous self-sustaining loop.
Every day, you harvest the good from the day before, which naturally fuels your baseline gratitude for today, which in turn effortlessly pre-paves the abundance for tomorrow.
So as we pull all of these threads together to synthesize this deep dive for you, what is the ultimate promise of this book?
Well, it is the assertion that the magic of life is objectively real. It operates invisibly, just like the laws of thermodynamics, and the quality, joy, and trajectory of your entire existence is entirely dependent on your voluntary output of gratitude.
There's an excerpt from Dr. Dennis Waitley included in the broader materials from The Secret that sums up the necessity of this work perfectly.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
He talks about how the majority of people live their lives feeling like they're on a treadmill with no power. They commute, they work, they sleep, and they feel entirely at the mercy of external circumstances.
The economy, their boss, their genetics.
Right. This book is a lifeline for anyone feeling stuck on that powerless treadmill. It rips the locus of control away from the external world and places it firmly back into the mind of the individual.
I completely agree. And I would add that this framework is uniquely suited for people who are exhausted by vague, abstract spiritual advice like, just be positive.
Yes, it is incredibly difficult to just be positive when you are terrified about paying rent.
But this book does not ask you to just be positive. It gives you 28 days of distinct, gamified, physical homework.
It turns ethereal spirituality into a tactile daily discipline. You hold a rock, you write a physical list, you speak to an empty room, you count your footsteps, you look in a mirror.
It gives your anxious mind a specific job to do.
It systematically operationalizes wonder.
Operationalizes wonder. What a perfect distillation.
Now, to wrap up our deep dive today, I want to hand it over to my co-host for one final provocative thought to leave you mulling over as you go about your day.
Throughout this exploration, we have dissected the claims of quantum physicists like Dr. Fred Alan Wolf, the idea that our consciousness is actively collapsing quantum probabilities and shaping the physical world we perceive. We are acting as powerful transmission towers, broadcasting our individual realities. So my question to you is this. What happens to the macro reality of our planet when not just one, but millions of people simultaneously start using their magic wands?
Oh, wow.
What happens to the geopolitical fabric of the world when millions of people fiercely, intentionally visualize health, wealth, and profound peace for complete strangers? Could it be that gratitude is not merely a tool for personal wealth or psychological comfort, but actually the ultimate untapped renewable energy source for the evolution of the human race?
Wow, that is a staggering concept to sit with. If enough transmission towers sync up on the frequency of absolute abundance, the entire world fundamentally changes. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We're profoundly grateful for your time, your attention, and your curiosity. If this exploration sparked a shift in your own frequency, please hit subscribe so you never miss a journey into the world's most transformative ideas.
It is always a privilege to unpack these concepts with you.
And we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us which book you'd like us to explore next. We read every single one.